Let's talk about websites and one of the major pitfalls that we see people run into when building a website. That is building the site in a way that's not completely and easily updatable by you. There's a couple of reasons why you want to do this. Today I just want to talk about it in terms of cost. So forget the sting of frustration and let's just concentrate on what the impact is of building in this way on your wallet. Let's start with a non-updatable site and we'll assume an average cost to build. The interesting thing about non-updatable websites is what we almost always see happen after the site is built. Let's look at a typical scenario. So you build the site and everything's great until a month after the site's gone live and one of your suppliers asks why they don't get a mention. Dang it! Back to your website designer to add a page, tweak some of the content and add a logo to the home page. With that all fixed, you're fine for another month until a rent increase prompts a change of office. Pretty annoying. Aside from the usual stationery tweaks, it's back to your old pal to make the changes to your footer and contact page. 4 months since the initial build and you're chatting to a friend about how well the new blog page is working to bring in traffic and keep people coming back to the site. Sounds pretty great, right? Back to the web designer to get them to add a new blog page, a mailing list form and some e-newsletter templates. This one's a bit of a hit and by now you're feeling like you're sponsoring their offspring through college. But the blog works well. Too well, in fact. More traffic means more inquiries and you're struggling to keep up. So you come up with a great idea to automate inquiries for a custom online questionnaire. You no longer need to speed dial your web designer, you know their number by heart. 7 months from the build and the gallery needs a bit of a freshen. You're committed now, you justify that they know the site so they'll be the cheapest option. In reality, they have you over the barrel. Resentment begins to fester. And then you change a major supplier. Headers, gallery, product page and any mention through the site needs to change. And so you get the picture. The trouble is, as long as you have a non-updatable website, this can go on indefinitely. Now let's look at the fully updatable scenario. For the sake of this exercise, we're going to say that it costs you double what you were quoted for a non-updatable site. I'd doubt if this were the case. These days a reasonably priced, fully updatable website is entirely possible. So what happens after the site's built and you've been trained how to use it? Well, in terms of cost, very little. Any of the revisions you needed to outsource in the non-updatable website scenario can be easily made by you or an employee, so we don't see any of those ongoing outsource expenses. Not to mention that being able to get in and change something simple saves you a lot of time spent waiting for suppliers. It also means you can keep full control over how your brand is portrayed and not the way your web designer interprets. Just for argument's sake, maybe a year down the track you might want to freshen the template with some design or bells and whistles that needs a web designer. But using an updatable platform not only makes it easy for you, it makes it super easy for any web designer you may choose to use. And that's going to keep any of the infrequent outsourcing costs right down. So, we've seen how the initial cost can be really deceptive. It needs to be weighed up with the expense over time, because what can look like a really great deal at the start can become a horrible burden in the long run.